Yeah. The other question that I wanted to ask you, because I just had this happen in my signing this morning, how do
Mhm.
you tell notaries to answer when the signers inevitably ask, when will I get my funds?
That really depends. I tell them, depending what side you're doing. So
Yeah.
if you're doing, well, the seller, they're in
Yeah,
favor
it would
of
be
their
the
funds.
seller. Yeah.
I would say it depends. Sometimes I do the buyer side as
Yeah.
well. I'm like, oh, the buyer will be signing at 2 o'clock today. You should be having it. I tell them, well, I don't know when the buyer, it depends really when the buyer signs. Both docs need to be approved. That
Hmm.
I would call title and make sure. If I don't know when the buyer's signing, I'm like, hey, I really depends when the buyer signs. If they
Yeah.
haven't already, please
Hmm.
call title and make sure when they're signing, just to make sure when you can expect funds.
Yeah.
If I do know, if I'm doing the buyer side and I do know when the buyer's signing, I'll let them know. But I always say, please call title to
Yeah.
make sure. We don't have the answers to that.
No. Yeah.
You know?
That's exactly what
Yeah,
I do
and
too.
I always reassure them like, hey, listen, as soon as I, or if I have my mobile scanner, I'm scanning it right now, so title
Mhm.
has it right away, so they
Yeah.
can fund if the buyer signs. Nothing will be delayed, or as soon as I leave here, I am scanning everything back. Title company will have scan backs by 10:30, and I normally send them a text. Hey, by the way, scans were sent to title, or
Hmm.
scans have been uploaded. So I did everything in my, I did my part to make sure you're getting your funds.
Yeah.
So I kind of reassure them in that way.
I do the same thing where it's and it I don't say it like this, but it's I'm just the notary. I don't know, but that's a little bit out of our scope as far as like being able to answer questions specifically like that. So yeah, I would just refer to the title company and say, if I'm doing a remote online, I would say as soon as I send the documents over, I'll include that in an email that you were asking. So that way they can reach out directly to you. And then I just include it in an email saying, hey,
Yeah,
they're
same.
asking about
I
the
let title know, be like, hey, by the way, seller wanted to know
funds.
when they're getting their funds. I got the same question for buyers. Hey, when am I getting my keys?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I said some sellers are willing to give you the keys before they even see the funds in their account.
Mhm.
That is the case sometimes.
Yeah.
But if I tell them, hey, really get in contact with your agent and
Mhm.
get in contact with the seller, I'm sure as soon as they have the funds and hit their account, you'll be able to get keys. So it really goes both ways. Sellers ask when they get their funds, and the buyers ask when they get their keys.
Yeah.
And then for refinances, if the refinance is on their primary residence,
Mhm.
there's a they have a 3 day
Right, a recession.
recession period. So they get it. So I look at the CD and I see when it's funding. I say, hey, your loan is you'll be expecting if they're getting money back. You're getting your funds on your funding date, which is 3 business days.